that surround decent base specs so they can trick you with advertising. Because if you hear 3700X, 5700 XT, 16 gigs of RAM, 1TB SSD, liquid cooled, RGB, in one sentence, you're going to think that system's really good. But if they added crappy PSU that'll die after 3 months, B450 motherboard that's cheaper than a can of beans, and the cable management of a 13-year-old dead fish, then you might not want to buy their system. Hey guys, what's up? Before this video starts, I just wanted to let you know that I spent at least 4 hours going through reviews on Amazon, Best Buy, and other retail sites, just going through and looking at what people had to say. So all of the points that I make in this video are not just points that were exclusive to my purchasing experience. I had to make sure that I made specifically sure that at least most or every one of the points made in this video was corroborated by negative reviews of the systems and common problems, not just things that were specific to my system, in case anyone was wondering. So here's just like a little collage of that. But besides that, I also made a conscientious effort to ignore reviews of people who were just simply too stupid to own computers, like this guy who gave it a 1 star because it didn't have enough HDMI ports, because he didn't understand that DisplayPorts thing. But that's the point. Let's get into the video. Hey guys, what's up? This is the CyberpowerPC Prebuilt gaming PC. More specifically, this is one of the ready-made pre-builts that you could buy at retail stores like Best Buy when the PC market wasn't absolutely borked. It is extremely loud. I'm going to turn this off now so that you guys don't have to listen to the annoying sound that the horrible fans and terrible cooling of this system creates. Now I'm going to address it right off the bat. Yes, this system has no graphics card in it. It did come with a graphics card when I purchased it. It came with an ASRock Challenger 5700 XT. A good friend of mine needed a graphics card, and it was the only one I had at the time, so that's where that card has went. But that was the card in the system, and I actually did some performance testing before I took out the card or touched the system in any way, just to get an unbiased review of the system. But honestly, performance isn't really my huge problem with this system. I also meant to give away this system during one of my monthly giveaways, but the winner opted to take the cash value of the system as opposed to the system itself, so I'm left with this giant case full of mostly empty space and then some computer parts as well. And that's where today's video comes from. So, in today's video, I'm actually going to, well, take apart this system and show you guys what's going on inside of a CyberPower Prebuilt gaming PC. And I'm going to say this right now. Yes, I am fully aware that you can go on CyberPower's website and you can create your own PC, and then wait 6 to 15 weeks for it to get built because they have like 2 months of lead time to get a new graphics card. This video is about a system in which you can just buy ready-made at Best Buy, which is something that a parent would probably do when trying to buy a PC for their kid for Christmas. A very inexperienced buyer is unlikely to go to CyberPower's website and know how to spec out a system. If you can spec out a system, you can build it yourself. So, now that that's out of the way, let's get into this system and what's going on in here. So, the base specs of this system, let me unplug it real quick before I kill myself, are a Ryzen 7 3700X, an ASRock Challenger 5700 XT, and 16 gigabytes of DDR4. It also came with a 1TB WD Blue NVMe SSD, which I mentioned in my original review, which I actually failed at making. On a 1TB NVMe SSD. 1 NAND flash chip is stupid. Now, on paper, those specs are pretty decent. Considering the system retailed for about $1,200, I can't really be too mad at that price. And as for performance in games, to get that right out of the way, it performs exactly as you'd expect a 3700X and a 5700 XT to perform. So that is a good thing. Like I said, I have no problem with the base specs of the system, nor the price for those specs specifically. It's when we do a deeper dive into how the system is built and the generally dishonest nature of building a PC in this way that I start to have many problems with this system. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take the motherboard out of this system. I'm going to uninstall the CPU cooler, and I'm going to rip the motherboard out. Alright, our motherboard is out, and it appears that they have torqued the screw so hard that it has stuck to the standoff. Oh boy, that's so stuck. Yep, pretty bog standard Ryzen 7 3700X in this motherboard. And as for our RAM, don't really have any complaints. Some pretty, I mean, it's budget brand RAM, but it is DDR4 3000 CL15. CL15, pretty good. Pretty low timings. DDR4 3000, I usually recommend 3200 megahertz for Ryzen at least, but again, I'm not going to nitpick here. Going, 3000 megahertz is fine, and Crucial Ballistics is by no means a terrible budget brand or anything, so fine. Completely acceptable. Here's where we get into my first problem. So, we've got a Ryzen 7 3700X. This is a very good CPU. It's a very powerful CPU. So, good job there. But do you guys see what board this is? I can already tell people in those comments are probably going to be mad at me for this, but I don't care. This is a B450M gaming from ASRock. First of all, this is a micro ATX board. This is not just a full-size ATX case. This is a freaking massive ATX case. There's so much empty space in the case where you can't even mount fans or anything that I honestly can't even fathom why they would use a board like this. Again, this isn't a system I configured or anything. This is one that they're selling retail at places like Best Buy. So, a micro ATX board is honestly kind of sad for a case like this, but this is one of the, if not the cheapest B450 motherboards that you can purchase that can slot in a Ryzen 7 CPU. This is such a high level of cutting corners to avoid cost that I haven't seen since I filed my taxes last year. Putting a Ryzen 7 in a motherboard with the power delivery of an ice cream sandwich is unacceptable. This is supposed to be a high-end system. It's liquid cooled, and trust me, they advertise the liquid cooling, and we'll talk about this liquid cooling in a second here. But why would they kneecap the performance of the CPU by throwing it on not just a B450 board, because there are some great B450 boards, but a B450 board that's just not that good. This board's good for some things. It's great for budget builds. This is a $1,000 plus gaming PC. That is not an ultra budget build. There is no reason to use a low-end B450M motherboard in a system with these specs. So that's my first problem. You can kind of see where this is going. And it's a trick that pre-built companies use very often. They use great specs and good matches like a 3700X and a 5700XT, and they use buzzwords like liquid cooling, and then every other part that they don't advertise is crap. Now let's move that out of the way for now and talk about the rest of the system. Oh, where is this going to? Oh, this is also duct taped to the RGB hub. Why? Okay, what here is powered by Molex? What fans are they using? This is the cooler that CyberPower has installed to keep our 3700X in check. A cheap Cooler Master with a custom stupid CyberPower logo. Is it wet? What the Wait a minute, is it leaking? There's like an orange liquid on it. I honestly have no idea why. I didn't get orange liquid on this computer. It was just turned on. Now, I'm going to be honest, I did buy this from someone who actually purchased this system at Best Buy. So the dust, I don't know what it was used in, or what room, or what situation, so I can't exactly dock them on that, but that's like a fuzzy fan. That fan is very fuzzy. And it shouldn't be in a case that is supposed to be well filtered. I don't even know. These fans, as a side note, are extremely stupid. These are Molex fans. Oh my god, it's everywhere. Okay, so into my problems with using whatever you want to call this. Okay, I'm not gonna bring my personal gripes with Cooler Master's lackluster liquid coolers. They are like the cheapest ones you can possibly buy. But I am going to point out that this case has mounting for a 240 in the front and a 360 on top, yet they opted to mount a 120 to the back, which just seems lazy considering a 3700X will boost pretty damn high for a long time with better cooling. This is like the bare minimum cooling you can use on a CPU like this, and the push-pull isn't doing anything, okay? I would say that as a matter of fact right now. Having a push-pull on a 120 doesn't really matter. There's just such little performance improvement to get from that. It's really just for looks at this point. As a side note that I forgot to mention before, the ASRock Challenger 5700 XT that was in the system is literally the cheapest 5700 XT that you could have possibly bought when they came out. I just want to show you guys that, yeah, you're getting decent base specs, but they're going to give you the cheapest possible way of achieving that, while still charging you the price for high-quality components. IO Shield, yep, kind of matches this $25 motherboard. So, this side of the system, I'll give it a 2 out of 10. Now, for quality. Now, real quick, let's move on to the back side of the system. Yes, the cable management. Hopefully on the screen, if my camera didn't mess up, is a nice little visual of what the cable management looked like when I opened the back for the first time. Looks pretty good towards the top. We got an RGB controller, and then we get to spaghetti. Yes, there is a literal rat's nest of cables just shoved in the bottom of the system, completely lazy. Now, I'm not going to pretend that that's going to completely destroy your performance. They used Molex for their fans. That's just kind of lazy. But it would be nice to see, you know, since you're paying someone basically $200 to put together a garbage system, they might as well try to manage your cables for you. If they don't, then what's the frickin' point? Just pay Tim from down the street some fish and chips and he'll do it for free. Hell, if someone buys me a Subway sandwich, I'll frickin' put together their PC. Then again, I'm like really bad at it, so. Alright, let's take out this power supply because I'm genuinely curious as to what brand this is. Although, my guess is something like a Pevia or another brand known for blowing up, because CyberPower has a terrible track record of longevity in their PCs. The only company that comes close to their terrible PSU failure rates is iBuyPower, but we're not talking about them in today's video. You'll have to wait for the next one. So, let's get this thing out and see what we got. Okay. Oh, this is terrible. This is truly the worst. Let's see what we got. This is I was right, an Apevia ATX PR800W. I don't know what half the information on this thing means, so I'm not going to pretend, but, oh, dusty. Putting an Apevia 800 watt piece of trash in your $1,200 pre-built gaming PC should be illegal. This is a violation of the Geneva Convention, because disguising explosives as consumer devices is a war crime. If you don't believe me, look up Apevia power supply, and probably the first 10 results will be about their terrible reliability. I very rarely have seen an 800 watt 80 plus gold unit with non-modular, non-sleeved ketchup and mustard cables. I don't get it. Who would make a PSU like this? So we have one 8-pin EPS. Is that all we get on our 800 watt unit? One 8-pin EPS? I'm not expecting something fantastic, okay? I don't have high expectations. Well, I do actually, it's a lie. I do have pretty high expectations for a system that someone else is putting together for me, and I'm paying them money. I don't expect to see this kind of garbage in my $1,200 system. Wait, hold on. I think I have something to exemplify my point here. And this is what they were selling for $25. Yep, kind of. So for $25, he picked up this. Pretty similar. Now, this doesn't have an 80 plus rating like this other one, but they are both a PVA units, and this one's a 700 watt and this one's a 800 watt. These are too similar. This is terrible. $25 is how much this power supply costed. I can't imagine this one was much more. If you are paying $1,200 for a system, I would expect at least $75, ideally $100 of that, to go towards making sure it doesn't explode. People wonder why CyberpowerPCs and the people who work there wonder why they get so many RMAs from people whose system died after a month, 2 months, 3 months even of usage. This is why. I made a video about CyberPower a while ago where I did spend most of the time dogging about the power supply. But people don't realize that this is downright terrible. They would rather accept 10, 20, 30 RMAs on 1,000 sales than just fix the problem that is causing the PCs to die. Parents are buying these for their kids. And when they break, they don't know what the hell to do. They don't know that the Prebuilt company who is selling these at Best Buy is putting time bombs in them. This is unacceptable. And I think a lot of people have pointed this out, but they haven't gone into as much detail, or probably haven't gotten as angry about it as I have, because this is annoying. I've known people who have purchased systems from CyberPower and iBuyPower. Those are the two I know of. I know there's some others that do the same thing, but the two I know of that just use these garbage, cheap, unreliable power supplies when they could spend $30 more out of the $300 in profit they're making from the system, not even including bulk pricing discounts, to just get a better PSU to make sure the systems last. This is crap. It doesn't cost that much to get a deal with Silverstone or EVGA or FSP to produce better units to put in your systems. Hell, they could go on Amazon and purchase better units and still be making a ton of profit off of people. This is terrible, and this is the reason their systems are dying. And if you have a problem with the fact that I don't like CyberpowerPC purposefully selling units that are going to die and have no longevity on purpose, well then there's nothing I can tell you. Because this is my biggest problem with the system. This stuff doesn't help. They're selling crap components that surround decent base specs so they can trick you with advertising. Because if you hear 3700X, 5700 XT, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, liquid cooled, RGB, in one sentence, you're going to think that system's really good. But if they added crappy PSU that'll die after 3 months, B450 motherboard that's cheaper than a can of beans, and the cable management of a 13-year-old dead fish, then you might not want to buy their system. So, that's the video. This is why I don't like pre-built companies. Is there a situation where people should or could buy pre-builts and there's actually a legitimate reason? Yes. But there are better companies out there, just good luck finding them. But there are better companies out there who deserve your money much more and actually put decent parts in your system. Now, I don't know which company that is, I strive to find it, but I don't have enough money to continue purchasing pre-builts. So what I have is what I get. So, I hope you guys kind of enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. If you're deciding to buy a pre-built, don't pick CyberpowerPC. Sue me. I don't care. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.